Arizona basketball in a must-win game against Cincinnati, plus things are looking very, very good for Peat.
You are Locked On Wildcats, your daily podcast on the Arizona Wildcats. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks for keeping it locked on Wildcats and making this your first listen of the day. I am your host, Mike Luke. Okay, now we've got a lot to get to this show. We are going to talk about this must-win game for Arizona Cincinnati, and we're going to talk about Peat. We're going to talk about the matchups, but let's talk first about Arizona and Cincinnati. Duh. All right, now, here's the deal with this game. Arizona in the Big 12, I do not care how these wins, if these wins occur, how they occur, I just need them to occur. This is a lot different than when Arizona was in the Pac-12, where you were playing Stanford, then Utah, then Colorado, then all of that. This was not this is a drastically different situation here because all these teams are good. All these teams, it seems like, are NCAA tournament teams, and they're like top 6 seeds. Cincinnati's another one. You don't even really think about Cincinnati that much, but then when you look at Cincinnati, you're like, oh, they're good. So either way, we're going to break this one all down. But again, I do not care about style points in the Big 12. I care about wins. That is all that matters to me. And when I say that's all that matters to me, I am not kidding. I am telling you that that is all that matters to me. Okay. All right, now let's look at these. Breakdowns, though. First, all right, at the point guard spot, point guard has been Arizona's best position this season on the whole. Jaden Bradley, while not great, has been very good. He's a pest. He gets involved in different. Defensively, he's really, really good. He can score a little bit. Not the greatest passer in the world, but he's good enough. But he can do, like I said, he can do a lot of different things. He has been good for Arizona. Plus, he's a gamer. He's generally there when you need him to, and I think that's the thing that's exciting, is that when you watch him, he's generally there when you need him to be there, and he plays the right way. I was so tired of watching Kylan Boswell and Creasa these last 3 years that it's just refreshing having a professional out there, and that is what he is. He is a professional. So, there is that. Now, Byrce James is obviously a very, very good player. He's averaging about 12 points, 5 rebounds per game. Doesn't really turn the ball over. He's Edgerrin James' kid. Byrce James is a really cool name. I like the name Byrce James. That game, I'll give Arizona a slight advantage, but he's pretty good. He's not bad at all. Then, at the shooting guard position, Caleb Love. Listen, you got Dan Skillings coming in. Skillings is he's missed some time, but he showed up against Kansas State. He was pretty good. Skillings, pretty good basketball player. So there's obviously that. But Caleb Love, you need Caleb Love to be on a different level. You need Caleb Love to be good. You need Caleb Love to be the All-American that he has shown these last 3 games. The All-American that we saw for a good percentage of last year. When we talk about the Caleb Love experience, that is what we are referring to. Overall, though, I need Caleb Love to be a stud. Caleb Love is good, then there's very few players in the country that are better than Caleb Love. So we need to remember that. Okay, now. Then at the small forward position, I'm kind of curious if KJ Lewis starts because Simas Lukosius is a shooter because he has no chance of being able, and ADO has no real chance of being able to defend Lukosius. It will not be a precocious matchup for Arizona because ADO cannot defend, nor does he necessarily try. That is the water. That to me is generally the issue with ADO is that he doesn't try and he compounds it by just not being very good at it. So, generally not the best rule of thumb. Lukosius can shoot threes, and with the way that Arizona defends, I would imagine Arizona will end up leaving him open the entire time, and that will be very annoying. But that's just kind of the way it is. Arizona does not defend the three. That's just kind of how Tommy rolls in that regard. I love Tommy, but for whatever reason, he is not interested in defending the three. So there's that. But this is a game that I think KJ Lewis probably needs to play a lot in. Probably needs to play a lot more than than Anthony Del Orso. We shall see, though. All right, now at the power forward position, Trey Mitchell. Trey Townsend. He has not been good. He has it just you don't really you don't I don't know really what to say. Is that he doesn't get rebounds, he doesn't score, he doesn't defend, he turns the ball over left and right. I don't know anything that he does well. I mean, I'd love to be wrong, but I just don't know. I mean, if there's something he does well, I haven't seen it yet. So Dylan Mitchell, it's not that Dylan Mitchell is great, but Dylan Mitchell for Cincinnati is certainly better than Trey Townsend. Trey Townsend against well, about anybody should probably be a matchup disadvantage for Arizona with the way that he has played. He has been terrible. Like I said, there's really no other way around it. That's a matchup advantage for Cincinnati. Then up front, I am going to a lot of this depends, and we'll get to the bench here in just a second. You got Tobe Awaka and you got Aziz Bandango. Aziz Bandango, great name. Big, physical. Both these guys. Tobe Awaka is about half his size, but both girthy, both good rebounders, plotters, but both guys are somewhat limited. I don't know. I'll give it basically the same. But here's where Arizona has to destroy them. Arizona has to be much, much better off the bench. That has to be a huge advantage for Arizona in this game because that's really kind of what we're seeing at this point. You've got to be better off the bench. And Arizona's got to have a big advantage. And that starts with Henry Vasar, our guy, Henry Vasar. Now, keep in mind, Henry Vasar he's really started to show some things. He's not necessarily the best player in the world, but he's shown that he can shoot some threes. Not only has he shown he can shoot some threes, he can block some shots. He can do a lot of different things out there, and I think that's what's exciting about him. And he runs the court pretty well. He's not a stiff. He's not a goon. And he's blocking some shots, getting some rebounds, playing pretty tough ball. That's what Arizona needs from him, though. They need him to continue to show that. And that's kudos to Tommy Lloyd as well, because Tommy Lloyd said, when a lot of people, including myself, were like, yeah, this guy ain't any good. Tommy Lloyd said, no, he's going to be good. Just trust me. He's turned out to be fairly decent so far. I'm not sure that Emmanuel Steven will play in this game, but I would like to see Emmanuel Steven play in this game. I think it's a good matchup for him. His energy is infectious, and I just like watching him out there. I would like to see him. Then KJ Lewis, you got to just keep doing what you're doing, KJ. And that's the cool thing about it, is that when KJ plays within himself, he's actually a very smart basketball player. One or two dribbles, getting into the lane. He's a good passer. He can dish out. He can do a lot of different things. And, when we've seen games where he's had 5 or 6 assists, that's what we need. Keep pushing those ones out there, 5 or 6 assists. Because that's when you know also that he's probably stressing the defense to a certain degree. You want to see that from him. So there is obviously that. But he's got to have a good game. KJ Lewis with Big 12 play here, he's got to be good. No other way around it. He got to be good. And with his athleticism, with his motor, there is no reason that he shouldn't be good. We're gonna hold KJ Lewis to a high standard on this show because he deserves to be held to a high standard because he is good. But Arizona, like I said, Arizona off the bench, you got to play well. Now it'll be fascinating to see what happens then, what these rotations look like. I have no clue what to make of how this is all going to go out, but Carter Bryant as well. Carter Bryant, I've said it a million times. I think you need to fast track Carter Bryant. I think you need to start getting him to play even more minutes. Let him play through some of the hiccups, some of the smaller stuff, because Carter Bryant is good and he's got an upside that, let's just be honest, somebody like Trey Townsend, doesn't have. So there is that. But overall, I would love to see Carter Bryant play more. Also, our good pal William Brad Allis, I think, made a pretty good point one time about him where he said, you watch him and you can kind of tell that he's not that far away from being like a lockdown shooter to being somebody that is going to be able to get you, I would say, I don't know, maybe 3-4 threes per game because he shoots the ball confidently. Not only does he shoot the ball confidently, it looks good. It doesn't look like it's some prayer that you're hoping goes in. It looks like it's about to go in. And that's where, with you're looking at it, you're like, all right, well, that's kind of what you want. So there's that. Now, we're going to get the predictions here, and then we're going to get to some recruiting here. But first, FanDuel. Check it out at FanDuel. Here's the great deal with FanDuel. You can put down just $5, 5 measly bucks. If you're a new customer, you can get up to $250 in free plays. That simple, that easy. Now listen, you got the NFL here, playoffs right around the corner. You got college football playoffs already here. You've got men's college basketball. You've got the NBA. You've got all kinds of good stuff. Check it out, though. That's what you want to do. You want to check that out. And again, if you put down just $5, you can get $250 in free plays if that bet hits and you're a new customer. Got to remember, you got to be a new customer, and that bet's got to hit. And again, your money's good. You can look ahead. There's just a lot of different things about FanDuel that is very, very good, very appealing. So again, check it out at FanDuel. Another one of these ones you're going to thank me later on. Thanks for keeping it locked on Wildcats and making this your first listen of the day. I am your host, Mike Luke. All right, now it's time to get our predictions in. Where are we at with our predictions? This is going to be interesting. All right, the first one that I think I am going to back the A in this game. Listen, I think Cincinnati's a good team. I really do. But I think the problem with I just don't know, and I can say the same thing about Arizona, so I get it. I can say, but I do think that Arizona just has a little bit more talent. I think they're just a little bit better. I'm enthused by how Caleb Love is playing, and that is something that I am not going to look past. Caleb Love, like I said, this is a different team when Caleb Love is playing like an All-American. Need him to continue to play like an All-American. If he continues to play like an All-American, Arizona is going to be in very, very good shape. I don't see any reason why he can't continue to do that. And again, when he's aggressive, that's what you want. So far, so good. These last 3 games, he's been a total stud. And not only has he been a total stud, he's been somebody that, you watch him and you're like, wow, okay, this is kind of what we were banking on. So we'll see how this does play out. But overall, you just need Caleb Love to be a monster. And if Caleb Love is a monster, then he's going to be, then Arizona's going to be in good shape because he's one of the most unique players in the entire country in that how he can score. He can score in a variety of ways. I know that he drives people crazy. I get all of that, but at the same time, you pick up one end of the stick, you pick up the other. But that's why I keep saying I want him to be aggressive, and I will deal with all of the other stuff. So I'm going to go Arizona 69 and Cincinnati 64. Arizona gets out of there 2-0 in conference, going on to West Virginia. That would be very, very cool. All right, now we're going to talk a little bit of recruiting here. Peat. On 3 is given On Peat has given On 3 is given Peat the proverbial the crystal ball to Arizona. That's what's going to be that is big. That's big. Now, people always ask me, what's the difference between 24/7 and On 3? They're different, but they're both very useful. Rivals is done. Rivals is done. 24/7 is much better at evaluating. They're at games. I trust their rankings far more. On 3 is hip with the kids. On 3 is hip with as far as being able to base, where you think a kid's going to go, where they're going to announce. On 3 is generally much, much better with that. So there is that. But On 3 has put Peat in as a Arizona crystal ball. That would be massive for Arizona. Arizona has been working this entire time to get Peat at that power forward position. And I think he would come in and I think he would probably average about 15-7, 15-8. He's a good athlete. He's not a great athlete, but he's somebody that it's going to be interesting to see how he does play out in college. I could see him anywhere being from a little bit of a poor man's Paolo Banchero in the NBA and in college to a PJ Washington. Any of those in between, none of those would surprise me, but he's good, and there's very little bust factor in him as well. That would be a huge get for Arizona, and I think it would also get some people off the, I think it would get some people a little less, I don't know, annoyed or whatever the term would be with Tommy Lloyd's recruiting. So Arizona's got to be able to get him. If Arizona gets him, then I think you feel pretty good about things. Okay, now, so Koa Peat, that's a big one. Now, Braden Burries is the other elephant in the room. Arizona really, really wants Braden Burries. He's super smooth at that point guard spot. Not a great athlete, but a good floor general. He's older for his class, but I don't want to. But it's weird though because it's not like he's maxed out or anything. A lot of times when you get guys that are older for their class, they're kind of maxed out. That's not really the case with Burries. He can get stronger, and he is with clutch. That is a big thing. He is with clutch. With their, when it comes down to that, that's a big factor here, and I'm curious to see how this plays out. Arizona would love to have him, and what I am excited about is that it sounds like he and Jaden Bradley could play together. I would love for him and Jaden Bradley to play together because Jaden Bradley to me is the epitome of somebody that if you put him on a good team with good players around him, he is an absolute menace on the defensive side of the floor, and I still think he's underrated offensively. He can do. He's a good player. You put him next to Braden Burries and maybe a Carter Bryant up front as well with Koa Peat, and then a Henry Vasar, and all of a sudden you're dealing with the best team in the country. And if you're not, you're right there because again, Burries is a little bit older for his class. Obviously, he's been around. He's been on the tour, as they say. Then Jaden Bradley would be a senior. Carter Bryant would be a sophomore. Koa Peat would be a freshman. Henry Vasar would be a junior. You got some pretty good, and you would have some pieces behind them as well. I don't know who would come back, but you got to assume somebody like Krivas would be there and some other players. So that's the dream. You want to get Koa Peat and you want to get Dwayne Aristod as well. But you want to get Koa Peat, you want to get Braden Burries, and you want to get Dwayne Aristod. Dwayne Aristod is he's another one we're probably not talking about as much as we should. He's a freak. He's a top 15 player in his class. He's another one that'll play in the NBA. Might take him a couple years, but he can really shoot the ball. He's long, he's athletic, and he's just good. He's another one of these ones. He's just good, and he's talented. So that would be a monster recruiting class for Tommy Lloyd. And I think that would probably put to bed any of the questions about can Tommy Lloyd recruit. That would really I think that would put to bed all the questions about whether Tommy Lloyd can recruit. That's going to be an interesting case there. We'll see how it plays out. But Arizona's in good shape right now. Getting Byrce James was obviously big. And one thing we need to be clear again about Byrce James is it's not like this is a lost cause. This is a player that I think at some point can be a contributor in college. He's fairly good in the open court. He's a good passer. He's a pretty good three-point shooter. Can do some different things. And he's probably about 6'5". Again, just like Bronny, he's not his dad. He's not as dynamic as Bronny, but that doesn't mean that he can't play at some level. And I think the Arizona coaching staff has to be ecstatic about getting him in here. And plus, let's be honest here, if LeBron James' son has a great time at Arizona, that's going to be really, really good because Clutch is the most powerful sporting agency in the United States with young people. And if Arizona is the cool name, that's going to be something very, very good. And I think you're already seeing it pay dividends with Koa Peat. I think you're already seeing it pay dividends with Braden Burries as well. So big shout out to Tommy Lloyd on those ones because again, those guys didn't just come to you. You had to go work for them. And we'll find out how that does play out. Now, we're going to get to a little bit of Arizona football recruiting news. But first, Rocket Money, my friends, Rocket Money. All right, Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions. Rocket Money helped me find subscriptions I had forgotten about and it helped me save money. Check it out at Rocket Money. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/locked on today. That's rocketmoney.com/locked on, rocketmoney.com/locked on. Again, cancel your unwanted subscriptions. Go to rocketmoney.com/locked on and they'll do it. They've done a lot of it and there's a reason that they're taking off. It's because people like it. People do enjoy it. And I think when you look at this and people are like, man, it's saving me money, that is a good thing. So again, check it out at rocketmoney.com/locked on. Thanks for keeping it locked on Wildcats and making this your first listen of the day. I am your host, Mike Luke. All right. Arizona's probably going to be adding an offensive line recruit here, Mr. Peter Lange. Now, out of Northern California, he had originally committed to Jed Fish up in smelly, rainy Seattle. But it sounds like Jed was lying to him a little bit, that they were also going to recruit his brother. Well, they haven't recruited his brother. His brother's committed to the U of A, and I think they were waiting for him to start recruiting him, and I think they realized at some point that he wasn't going to recruit him. Jed being Jed. That's what Jed does. So I think Lange will end up at Arizona. He said he might take more visits. I'll believe that when I see it. I believe that he is going to back the A. I believe that he's going to be an Arizona Wildcat. So that's obviously a nice little get. You got some other people on campus as well. You got 4 visitors, but that would be a nice get. We've talked about it before. I like the skill position players on this team. I like Noah Fafita, obviously. I think the running backs are solid. I think the wide receivers are solid. I think you got a bunch of good number 2s, which I'm fine with. And but the O-line, I think with Rhino, I'm fine with him. I think Deuce Boost will be in a competition to start. The kid from Hawaii, I would imagine, would start, but there's a lot of playing time to be had. Now, again, I don't necessarily want Lange to be or Lange to come in and be expected to start, but he's somebody that's got a lot of potential to him. And getting him out of SRS was obviously something that was just good for humanity as well. But I like Lange, and again, would be another nice little kudos for this coaching staff. All right, now when it comes to Arizona, my friends, what is that next move? We're going to find out. You got Trey Spivey in. I don't know what to make of Trey Spivey. I like Trey Spivey. He's a big athlete. He's big and physical, but he's not a great route runner. That's something that you've heard at every single stop that he's been at, and you could say maybe that's why he hasn't been uber productive. I don't know. But you gotta kind of figure that one out. I'm not sure how that plays out, but I do like Spivey though. He's somebody you take. He's big. He's physical. He's got some talent, and we'll see how it plays out. But overall, like I said, the offensive line still isn't nearly good enough in my opinion. But getting in Deji, getting in just basically an entirely new group of players, and an offensive coordinator that I figure knows what he's doing to a certain extent, which is certainly something that Dino Babers didn't really show, is a good thing. That is a good thing. And so, like I said, we're going to find out how this does all play out. But overall, I'm fairly enthused by what I've seen from this Arizona coaching staff. Again, doesn't erase that I thought it was maybe one of the worst performances I've ever seen last year, but it is what it is. We're turning the page. All right, now, so wanted to get that prediction in. I'm picking Arizona 69-64 over Cincinnati. Very, very good news right now on Peat and Braden Burries. I think right now you got to say that Arizona's probably going to get both of them. And you start looking ahead saying that's a monster team for next year. You got Dwayne Aristod as well. Maybe get back some of those players. I think you feel pretty good about things. Then on top of that, you've got a good news when it comes to Arizona football recruiting. Peter Lange probably going to be probably going to be back in the A. On a side note, Leif Magnuson has entered the transfer portal. I guess he wants to play. Wish him nothing but the best. Hope like I said, that worries me. But like I said, wish him nothing but the best and love that family. And there's kind of that. All right, now So we will find all of this out, but it's going to be an interesting time. Either way, good times for Arizona. Tomorrow we're going to be back with you on the post-game show, though, breaking down Arizona Cincinnati. Hopefully, we're talking about Arizona being 2-0 in conference play. Again, a win is 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 a win. I'll put that on loop. And again, good basketball. Like I said, good basketball. Good basketball news. So we'll see how that plays out. But as always, very much appreciate you making Locked On Wildcats your first listen of the day. I'm your host, Mike Luke. Bear down, back the A, and again, we're going to be back with you on the post-game show, as always, tomorrow. TTFN, ta-ta for now.